Hello and welcome to another episode of Scott Talks Games. Today, in this second episode, I will again be discussing 2D Delves, but instead of a full read through, this time I want to take you through the anatomy of a campaign turn. So I have here my adventurers, a standard 4 adventurer party. We have the dwarf fighter, Fafnira, great WizKids mini there. Next we have the human mage, Esme, made from some great Frostgrave wizard kits. And the human priest, Friar Lucas, made with a combination of Frostgrave and Oathmark parts. And the human expert, Rufus, who again is made from Frostgrave parts, mainly from different kits. And so yeah, we have a nice little adventuring band. Set them aside. And so we go to page 54, which is the beginning of chapter 4, campaigns and advancement. And if this was my first campaign turn of a prolonged campaign, I would start out with 4 quest points in my treasury. There are treasury quest points at this point. And so I wouldn't have to do any upkeep or anything during the first turn of any new campaign. You don't have to pay for anything. You're flush with cash and gold and ready to start adventuring. Like the last time, we could do a quest generator if we just wanted to get a cool, evocative name for the adventure we're going to go on. So we'll do that again. So I'll be in row B, Bravo. And first column is battle for the second column, Joyous Chorus. Third column of the Undying Ones. So battle for the Joyous Chorus of the Undying Ones. Pretty cool. Okay. I'm going to write that down. Battle for the Joyous Chorus of the Undying Ones. Okay. Scroll that down there. Just to give us a little thematic focus. You don't need to do that. You can ignore this table or use another table from many of the other great books out there. Shadowdark comes to mind, but then there's another one. There's a few I'm thinking of whose names I can't summon up right now, but any other adventure generator will work for this. And it's not necessary because now we're going to show you that you can just generate something from out of whole cloth here. So in the pre-battle, do we want to journey? So there are rules for journeying. Here's Gavin Day's, a small version of Gavin Day's amazing hex map. And then in the back, the actual hex map is right here. So let's say we started at the hex in the city of Thargad. You don't have to use the hex movement method. You can just be even more abstract. But let's say if we do want to journey on this first trip, we have to pick a party member, and they use their intelligence stat. So I'll pick Esme since she has a +2 intelligence. And the task rating is... the target number is a 7. Could use perception too. So I got 10, I got 12. So that was a great roll. So if you succeed, you can move 1 plus your results. So I could move up to 6 hexes on this first turn if I really wanted to. So I'm going to say this, maybe we've commandeered a hot air balloon or a sky galleon or something, or the swiftest horses. So you don't have to move all 6, but we'll just do it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're right on the outskirts of Kaz. So that's where we'll mark we are for this particular adventure. So now we'll actually make the journey roll. So So you have to pick someone to be our navigator. And it could be the same person who made the check or a different person. And so that check will be a D66 check. And I will select Rufus. He has a +1 perception. He's my expert. So black will be high on this. And the stat only comes into play if there's a test. And it could test another stat too. So this is a D66 check. So 56, which generally results on these tables higher or better. So 56. Destination, Destiny 2. Choose 2 random characters from your band. On a successful 6+ charisma check, they gain +1 fate for the next battle only. So that's actually really useful. So we'll just go down the line. I just have my characters sort of scrawled on a legal pad. So 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll ignore any 5s and 6s since I just have 6-siders here. So Rufus gets to make, Friar Lucas gets to make a check, and Rufus gets to make a check. So they both get to make 6+ charisma checks. So Rufus actually has charisma +1, and he just gets it. So he's going to get an extra fate for the next battle. And Friar Lucas also has charisma +1, and he fails. So he does not get an extra charisma, but I'll mark down that Rufus does. All right. So the journey's all done, and you don't have to journey each round. It's a choice. Sometimes it behooves you to journey. If you've picked up a bitter enemy, you can lose them by journeying. Sometimes they'll still follow you, though. And sometimes you might want to journey just to shake things up. Cool things can happen on this table, also bad things, like all the D66 tables in here. All right, so since it's the first round of a campaign, we don't have to do any kind of upkeep. We don't have to worry about privation. This is the round where if you're into your campaign, a few rounds in, you have to start paying 1 quest point per member of your warband, of your adventuring party, to upkeep them. And if you fail, if you can't pay your quest point upkeep, your party suffers from privation during the rest of the campaign turn. Roll 1d6 on the privation table to see the result. So you could end up, if you roll high, you can have no ill effects. If you roll really low, the one result is malnourished. 2 random characters start the battle at -1d6 health. So it can vary. It's just a little kind of upkeep mechanic to sort of give the idea that you gotta feed yourselves, you gotta maintain your equipment, things like that. So hunt for resources. You can send each character if you want to hunt for resources, and so I'll do that in turn. Black will be high again. It's a D66 check. D66 check. My 2 non-random characters, Rufus and Fafnira, will each go on the regular hunt for resources table, and my priest and mage I'll probably put on the magical table. So let's go for Rufus. 64, that's an excellent roll. What does Rufus encounter while hunting for resources? Odd jobs. You earn +1 quest point helping out around town. On a successful 8+ stat roll of your choice, you earn an extra +1. So if I've already got +1 in the bank, so now my treasury goes from 4 to 5, which is nice. Let's see if I can make Rufus's best stat is Dex +2, and as a professional, I think he can get a boon on this because that's connected to his stat. Let me double check that to be sure, because I do not want to cheat Rufus out of anything he's earned here. Yeah, he gains a boon using this stat once per pre-battle sequence. So 8+ check, I get to roll 3 dice, take the 2 best. And I'm gonna drop this 2, that's a 10, plus 2, 12. I easily make it, so I earn an extra plus 1 quest point from that. So we're flush here. Let's see what happens with Fafnira. Again, black is high, or black is the tens die. 62 for her. And she gets holy places. The city you find yourself in is rife with temples and places of worship. Whether you're spiritual or not, you find some peace in their shadows, gain plus 1 quest point. So that's another quest point. So we've already building ourselves a nice cushion here. Let's see what happens with our magical investigations. We're going to go with Esme, my mage, first. So she's going to roll on the magical or divine investigations. Black is the tens die. Oh, not good. 24 is, it's not the worst, but it's certainly not the best. Haunted. A nameless spirit haunts you until the end of the next battle, giving you a bane on all checks and lasts the first 2 rounds of that battle. If you choose to confront them, use the NPC interaction rules from the end of Chapter 3 to determine the nature of this meeting. If you succeed on your check, the bane is removed, and the spirit grants you insight into coming events. If you fail, the haunting lasts an extra round. Yeah, we're going to confront this spirit, because I want to show off those rules. Because while this is obviously a skirmish combat game, I love to include this as I'm developing it through the various games I've written. I've developed it even a little further here. So you could do non-combat interactions with NPC characters and foes. Sometimes a scenario or table result will call for that. So let's see if the spirit is hostile, neutral, or friendly. Neutral. So it's an 8+ check. Roll 1d6 to determine what stat is used when interacting with them. So charisma, not good for Esme. Her charisma is +0. So I'm gonna have to get an 8+ +0 check. I failed. So my gambit in confronting her, it failed. Confronting the spirit failed. So she's gonna have a bane on all checks. That's going to be the first 3 rounds of the battle. So that is pretty bad, actually. Not a good result for Esme. Let's hope that my priest, Friar Lucas, does a little better on this table. Black high, it's the same exact result. Oh my gosh. I'm going to say it's the same spirit. He's haunting both of them. So, but this, +1 charisma. Well, we'll see what stat. I'm going to confront them again. What could possibly go wrong, right? Should I just take my medicine or should I confront them? I'm confronting them. All right, 2d6 +1 for my charisma. Let's see what I need to get. Oh gosh, a 9. This is not good. Not good, folks. Oh! But he crushes it and gets an 11. All right, so let's see what kind of bonus I get. Because now Friar Lucas's bane is gone, and he's going to get a +1 bonus on, I'm going to say on a check against the main foe in the coming battle. This spirit has some insight into them. So while the spirit is still extremely angry with Esme, they have made peace with Friar Lucas, maybe due to his spiritual nature. At any rate, he's going to get a +1 bonus against the main foe in the next battle, which is to be determined. All right. So that being done, let's move on to battle setup, page 75. What is our motivation for this battle? A chance battle. While hunting for lore or treasure, your party stumbles upon a group of creatures or foes, and violence ensues. Set up 5 distinctive terrain pieces on the board, spacing them far enough apart to cover a 2x2 area. Place 5 treasure tokens, 1 in each structure or terrain piece. So we could get a lot of treasure on this one. Each treasure token you control at the end of the battle is worth 1 quest point. Also make 1d6 check for each treasure token. On a roll of 6+, it's also a magic item. Okay, great. So this one's a potential high earner. Not every one of the 6 motivations provides a ton of the amount of loot you can get from them varies from scenario to scenario. Step 2, location and darkness. Let's roll to see where this is. We know on the map roughly where we are, close to Kaz, but let's see, because within that 6 mile hex, there could be a lot of stuff. So let's see here. 2, we are in the desert. And in particular, we are at an oasis in a desert. Okay, so we're in kind of a desert or arid region, but we found an oasis. So the action is going to occur. I can already think about setting up a 2x2 board here with a lot of trees, a pool of water would be cool, maybe some exotic plants, flora, fauna, things like that. So great, all right. And I have a little advice here about the kind of terrain you can use for deserts. And again, all of this stuff you can just adapt to whatever you have in your collection. If you don't have a desert and you roll a desert, if you don't have any appropriate desert terrain, go opposite, make it a verdant forest. These are just guidelines, they're just hooks for you to hang your imagination on. Hostile environments and traps. We'll say that this oasis, it does have some hostile environments. Well, let's let the dice decide. 1 to 3, there are potential traps. 4 to 6, there are not. Okay, so no traps in this one. Our foes will be enough. Okay, so next, darkness. When do we arrive at this oasis? Dusk, partial light. So we just get there at dusk. So dusk is rounds 1 and 2, full light, full darkness thereafter. So darkness can be a big challenge in the game because none of your characters are darkness adapted, so they will need torches or magical lights to be able to see any opposition. And let's talk about that opposition. So I'm going to go, we're a tier 1 band, so that means we are basically an average of tier 1, that's 4 first level, basically first tier characters. So there's a table for tier 1, tier 2, tier 3, tier 4, and then tier 5 plus is like anything goes really. But we're going to stick to tier 1, and I'm going to roll my opposition, and it's going to be Nature's Vengeance. So 4 wolves and a dire wolf. So that is my base opposition, and that's going to be tough. And now let's roll on the encounter balance table because this could be either an easier or a harder scenario. 3 is I have to face plus 2 tiers worth of foes. So this group right here, all the groups in tier, they're all balanced to go as an even battle against my 4 characters. But now I've rolled 2 extra tiers worth of enemies by rolling a 3 on this table. Basically, what that means is I can just go off who it's wolves, so I could actually add a second dire wolf if I wanted to, or 2 more regular wolves, because the dire wolf, if we look in the bestiary in the back, is a tier 2 creature. So that would satisfy my plus 2 tiers. A wolf is a tier 1, and you actually get 2 of them. So that would be 4 more wolves. So that would be tough, just in terms of sheer numbers of wolves. We'll add a second dire wolf. All right. So I'll be facing 2 dire wolves, maybe a mated pair, and 2 dire wolves and 4 regular wolves. That'll be perhaps they've pursued us to this oasis, and now we're going to make our stand as night falls. And then, of course, there could be wandering monsters later, and there's a table for that. Basically, it's right here. You after starting with round 4, you roll for wandering monsters, and so I rolled a 2, so a tier plus, so that'd be a tier 2 foe would show up, which is not good. So you have your base opposition all set up at the beginning of the game, and then wandering monsters can start showing up as things get really interesting. So step 4, model placement. I would set up a board. I would place my characters, unless the scenario indicates otherwise. on a random table edge once the terrain is all set up. And then I would roll for each model or group of models to determine their positioning relative to my group. So if let's say I'm facing 2 dire wolves and 4 regular wolves, I'd keep the regular wolves in pairs. And let's see, what are the dire wolves in terms of, I think they're champions. So they can all be close. This table determines the random model placement. So imagine this was my board. My characters would be placed thusly on one board edge. And I would roll for the first pair of regular wolves, 4, so they'd be on the opposite board edge. The second pair of regular wolves, they're on the opposite board edge. The first dire wolf, opposite board edge. I'm getting very lucky here. The second dire wolf, also opposite board edge. So we must have had a lead on them. My entire enemy force starts roughly 24 inches away from me, which is nice. It gives us a chance to set up tactics, things like that. They're not going to be right on top of us. Had I rolled poorly, for instance, one of those dire wolves could have been 6 inches away. So there are certain foes who don't want to be close. Specialists and nemesis foes generally start further away. They add +1 to their roll, so they can never be within 6 inches of you. They're always going to be at least 12 inches or more away. So now that my models would be placed, at that point we would roll for weird events. So we'll go back to our D66 check. Black is the tens die again. So a 34. Vile Disenchantment. Roll 1d6 each round for any beneficial spells cast on PCs or allies. On a 4+, those spells remain in effect. Otherwise, their effects cease. So there's some bad magical energy circulating around this oasis. And obviously, there are many objectives here too. And I would place my objectives at this point as well. Let me just double check that. Probably would place the objectives when we set up the terrain. Yeah, that's what would happen. Place 5 treasure tokens, 1 in each structure or terrain piece. Yeah, so I'd have 5 primary terrain pieces or structures on the board. In this case, they may be particular copses of trees. Maybe the pool would be one of the locations. Each one of those major locations is going to get an objective piece. So I'd have to make my way, try to collect those objective pieces and hang on to them through the course of the battle, hoping that things don't get so tight that I have to invoke the fly you fools rule and drop everything and try to run away to save our lives. And yeah, once you've done weird events, you fight. And I played a recent battle just this past weekend. It went 9 rounds. It got really crazy with wandering monsters toward the end. We all got off, save for the wizard, and they made their D66 survival check, which I've talked about this in my previous video on the game. The survival table is here at the end, of course. During the post-battle is when you would invoke it. So yeah, that's a brief summary of how you set up battles in 2D Delves. I hope you found it useful. If you haven't checked the game out, take a look at it. It's on drive-thru. There's a nice preview there, 20 pages, I think, to help you make a better decision. Look at my previous video that basically is a page through of the entire game. Any questions, you can find us on Facebook at the Four Color Studios Facebook group, or you can hit me up at thefourcolorstudios.com, and there's an email link there, and you can send me a mail, and I'll certainly get back to you. But I do appreciate you checking it out. Hope you enjoyed it, and we'll see you soon. Thanks.